Okay. Welcome back to another episode of Sit, Sip, and Talk Shit. Welcome, my friends. Solo episode 2 is going to be a solo episode. It's just going to be us this evening getting down and dirty. Just kidding. That sounds crazy. No, it's not. But I did have you guys ask some questions this week, and because some of your questions actually coincided with what this month is, we're going to get into the nitty gritty, and it's not going to be all depressing. I promise I wouldn't do that to you guys. But let's talk about it, because you know me, I love to talk about the taboo topics. But first and foremost, peep the hat, Taylor 24 for president. And that means Taylor Swift, obviously. But quick plug, if you are not registered to vote, go register to vote. It's an election year. It's an important election year. Whichever side, hello Lola, whichever side you particularly, go towards is your opinion, your right. But register to vote, because it is super important. And shifting from that real quick, because a lot of the questions you guys actually sent were like, who are you voting for? Look, I'm super blunt, always will be with y'all. I don't really talk politics. Politics is not my jam. It's not something I'm like educated on enough to be like, this is the policies that I like. I'm all about human rights. If you have listened to me at all, or if you have listened to my podcast, or if you even know me. One, if you've listened to my podcast, you're already well aware I'm not a Donald Trump fan. Sorry. I mean, honest to God, I'm not even sorry. I don't even know why I said that, because I'm not. But if you know me at all, you know that I'm a human rights person. I believe that everyone is entitled to the same rights as human beings. You're allowed to love who you want to love. You should have all the rights and autonomy to your own body. Women deserve to be paid fairly for the work they do. I am very much an activist for social justice and human rights. And you will never see me say anything less. But as far as like economic policy, foreign policy, I'm not educated enough on that to talk on that, so I just don't. But humans deserve rights and the autonomies to their own bodies, and that is all I will say on the topic. So let's get to the next one, because the next topic was something you guys asked a lot of questions about. And I have them all here in my phone, just in case I forget a question. So I'm going to try to kind of go one off memory, and two, I did kind of go through the list and organize them so I could kind of figure out which way I was going and what I was going to talk to you all about. But you know me, I normally just shoot from the hips. Not that I can really shake them right now. But October is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. So it's really, I don't know why I'm sitting so up on this couch. Let me move. Okay. So it's really about like, Lola just distracted me. Sorry, guys. If you're watching this on video, you saw her just run up on me, right, and hand me her toy to throw. She does not care when I sit here and record. She's just like, bitch, play with me. She just distracted me. Sorry. Here you go. You can have that. October is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, and obviously that means miscarriages, stillborns, anyone who has suffered a pregnancy or infant loss. This month is all about bringing awareness to that topic specifically, and I think that's important. And you guys did ask kind of a lot of questions around my miscarriage, because I've always been super open about that topic, and it's a journey. It is a journey. My miscarriage was in April of 2019, and it was devastating. It was extremely devastating. And it took me a really long time to get to the place that I'm in now. And I wouldn't say I love talking about it, but I'm open to talking about it because I think it's such a taboo topic. And the women that I have talked to about it, like in my healing journey, all said the same thing, that they felt so much shame around it and felt like they couldn't talk about it, or felt like people were annoyed with them when they would talk about it, or like the people in their immediate social circles, like after a certain point, which they, and myself included, felt like came up really quick. It's like everyone else's lives around you moves on. Like everyone moves on. Their life keeps going and they kind of forget because it didn't happen to them. But you're harboring all of this grief and pain and these questions that go with no answers. And it is a very isolating and lonely feeling when it's like I can't even talk about this monumental thing that happened to me because it doesn't feel real. So you guys did ask a lot of questions around my miscarriage. Mostly, you all really very interested in my baby daddy. And I know there is an episode where I talk about him briefly. And one person did say, "How come you don't say much?" And I was like, oh, God. But in the spirit of authenticity and being super, super honest with you all, look, my mother always taught me, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. The reason I originally did not really talk about him is because of that lesson. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. I feel like I tried to be kind of open about this, but I did dance around the topic a lot out of just respect for other people. But again, in the spirit of authenticity and being honest, things didn't really end on good terms. There wasn't really like I don't even know. I don't know. I don't really know what to say because one, things didn't really, there was no like, I wouldn't call it amicable. I wouldn't, I don't know what the word would be, but truthfully, I miscarried in April of 2019 and had my surgery at the beginning of May and have not seen or heard from him since. So like, I don't really know what I would say. And like I said, my mother always said, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. And it took me a really long time to move past that, like where I'm at now, like I just don't have anything to say because there is nothing to say. But yes, back then I probably would have had a lot to say. And quite frankly, none of it would have really been all that nice. So I just didn't say it. And, yeah, so like, that's just kind of it. I don't know what he's doing. I assume he's out there living his life. I'm gonna assume he's happy. I did some internet sleuthing for you guys since everyone was really curious. Looks like he got married, Looks like he's living his life. Good for him. Honestly, good for him. But like, I don't talk about it because there really is nothing to say. I don't know him anymore. I don't know any of his feelings around the subject. I really like from my perspective of the situation is probably vastly different than how it really was for him. And that is probably the nicest thing I could say, truthfully. And no, a lot of you asked, has he ever reached out to you to talk to you about it? No, he has not. No, I don't know. I doubt. I mean, it's been 5 years. I doubt he ever will. Truly, no idea, no clue. Can't talk about it because I don't have any info for you. But I appreciate you all being so curious. That's something, I guess, right? But no, I really don't know. I don't really know what he's doing in his life. I don't really care. That sounds so mean, but like, he's living his life. Good for him. I'm living mine. I'm good. I'm going to assume he's good. And I just kind of leave it at that because that's all there is to it. But I guess you would have to go find him on the street somewhere and ask him yourself. And if you get answers, come back and tell me. Let me know. That would be cool. Just kidding. Actually, that would be kind of cool. I have, you know, like I said, the spirit of authenticity, I have always wondered. It is like a question I myself have. Like, I've myself have always wondered, and I'll leave it at that, to be honest with you. Um, you guys also asked me, like, how long did it take to get over it, I guess, is where a lot of you tried to word the question. And I think what you were asking is how long did it take till I, like, got over it or, like, moved on. I'll tell you when it happens. I will let you know when that happens. I will say it probably took me about a year until I was, like, back, not even back to normal, because there is no back to normal. There is before and there is after. There is a new normal, I suppose. I guess it took me about a year till there was a new normal. And that was probably the hard, yeah. It was about a year till there was a new normal. Easily, because I just really, I struggled. I struggled with the whole thing. Like, I struggled with the loss of my child. I struggled with the loss of the life I had envisioned. I struggled with the loss of this partner that I thought was my friend, and this person that was going to be my family for the, I guess, for the realistically, for the remainder of my life. Like, no, we were not together, but I struggle with the loss of that and the reality of my perception of that situation. Like, there was just a lot of loss really fast that I essentially blinded myself to and, like, shoved down real deep and covered up with unhealthy coping mechanisms. And I would say it was probably a good year before I dug myself out of that grave that I dug and threw myself in, and started really being like, okay, you have got to get it together. And it was probably a year till I really dug myself out of the grave and, like, poked my head, like, okay, here I am, world. Now let's do something. And then I would say probably another year from that till I was like, all right, okay, cool. This is okay. Step in front of step in front of step. So I would say 2-ish years. And I know it seems like a long time, but I promise you it felt like nothing to me. But, like, 2-ish years till I was, like, truly back on my feet, getting to where I felt like a new normal. Now, it's just more or less like a day by day or a case by case thing. Like, little things will randomly set me off. And not, like, set me off in, like, oh my god, she's in a rage like Hulk. No, just, like, will trigger a feeling of grief. And it's usually around the due date is a little bit triggering for me. Mother's Day is triggering for me. But, like, I have learned different coping mechanisms to be able to not feel as sad. But there are, like, I've had days even recently where I lay in bed all day and I ask myself why, or I wonder what he would be like today. Like, what would we be doing? What would my life be like? I know I wouldn't be in Nashville, Tennessee. So, like, there's so many things I have now that I wouldn't have if I had had a baby. But there are things that I would have had that if I had. Like, there's just, I sometimes wonder just what would that life look like. And if you guys are like big Marvel fans and like the multiverse, I bet you there's a version of me out there in the multiverse that did have a baby. And and sometimes I wonder, what's that life look like? Like, I have those thoughts, or I wonder what he would look like, or what would his personality be. And those are just thoughts I have from time to time. And usually my hardest days are my due date, so the day I consider his birthday, and Mother's Day are probably my hardest ones. Um, and little nods, like today, I I happened upon I was like walking through a department store today, and there is this perfume from like years and years and years ago when I was still in college. There's this perfume that I really, really liked. And I haven't seen it anywhere in years, but I saw the name, the brand name on something today. And I was like, oh my God, I wonder if this department store has that perfume. So we walked over to the perfume area, and I was like looking for the name. And when I finally found the brand, I was looking for that specific perfume bottle, but I couldn't find it because they only had one, and it was called a Tiger Lily. And that is one of like this, that's a sign for me. I'm not gonna get all deep into it, but it's like a little nod, and stuff like that, like those little signs. They just like those are the times when I feel like just twinges of sadness. But I think it'll always be like that. That's with any grief, really. I mean, you'll always have those, like, it's waves. Sometimes the waves are itty bitty ones that just crash peacefully, and it's a nice, like, thought or memory. And other times they're like tsunamis that slam into your life and create a little chaos that day. And I take them as they come now, because that's just the process. But yes, that's when I think about it, I think, gosh, like, what a journey, like, what a healing journey, and like how far I've come, and like who I am now compared to who I was before. And I mean, I'm still fucking funny. I've always been funny. I think I'm funnier now, but I mean, I really do believe all those memes that are like, am I tra- was I always funny, or am I funny because I'm traumatized? I think my trauma made me a little bit funnier. For sure. For sure. And sometimes I think it's funny when like I make jokes and people are like, "Huh?" I actually do find that hysterical. Genuinely, genuinely hysterical when I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And or like when I shock someone that's like, I mean, I had a son, but he's dead. And then people will look at me and I'm like, oh, I don't know how to delicately put that. I'm not about to say, no, I don't have any kids. I do. I have a son. He's just not earthside. Is that the polite vernacular? I don't freaking know. What do you say to that? I never know what to say when people are like, do you have kids? No, but yes, but no. No living kids. Like, what 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 do I say to that question? Am I just supposed to say no? No, I don't have kids. And then it's like it opens up this whole door, and then it gets like awkward because I've done that before where I said to somebody like, "No, I don't have kids." And they're like, "Oh, well, blah." I can't remember exactly what they said, but they said something, and I was like, well, actually." And it was just so like, it was more uncomfortable than if I had just said, "Yes, but he's not living." Like, I never know. Like, this is my reality. I'm sorry. If you don't know what to say, that sounds like a you problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, bruh, this is just my life. This is just what we be doing. But yeah, you guys had a lot. The three main topics you all asked about. You asked my political affiliations, which I'll never tell you, but I'm sure you can guess. You asked a lot about my baby daddy and my journey through miscarriage. And I was like, let me touch on that a little bit because it is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. And then you had a lot of questions about my dating life, which is non existent. Like, not even like trying to be rude. Just, I don't date. I don't date right now. I think if somebody were to be like, hey, I've got a friend that you need to meet, I'd be down. Like, cool. I'm always down to meet people, but I think that's how it would have to be for me. I don't like dating sites, and after that experience that I've told y'all about, if you haven't gone, you should listen to the episode, Stalkers and Something Else. I think is the title of it. After that whole, like, stalking situation, whoo, baby. Ooh, you're not going to catch me on a dating site. But it's funny because you all did have, let me find them. They're pretty good. Like, pretty good dating questions. But, like, I don't really, let's see. I don't really know. And I just truly think that, like, I think people like asking me about my dating life because I'm so hush hush about it. But I'm hush hush about it because I ain't got nothing going on. I'm not dating anyone. I promise you. I promise I'm not dating anyone. And I don't know that you guys would even know that I would. I'm sure you would. I'd probably slip up and say something. But, like, my social media would not reflect it because I don't know. I'm like that. I would the way Kylie Jenner went about her pregnancy when she was, like, hiding it from everybody and then popped out with a baby, like, 9 months later. I'm telling you, that would be me with my next man. You'll meet him when I drop the wedding photos. Like, secretive till the day I die. JK, I don't really know. I actually have no idea what I would do. You'll actually probably, if I ever find me a man that could put up with me 24/7, y'all will probably see his face plastered all over my Instagram page. I'm not even going to lie. I got a new couch. That's really all that's going on in my life. Like, got a whole new couch. I'm setting up a podcast corner for y'all, so hopefully the next time you'll be watching this on your YouTubes, I sound so old, on the YouTube, next time you guys watch a video, Lola, would you like to say hi? I wish you all could see her. She's, like, all up in my personal space right now. But the next time you watch this, hopefully I'll be in my little podcast area. It's going to look so cute. I can't wait for you all to see it. Cute little reveal. But no, I really don't have much going on in my dating life. I'm sorry. I know that's... Ouch, Lola. I know that is, like, weird, but I don't know. I really don't have too much of an interest in dating, so that's kind of where we're at with that. And all saying, I don't really know what you want me to tell y'all. I can tell you that I have created quite the stir and controversy over this space station thing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then clearly you don't follow me on TikTok, and you should, because it's funny. And I have done, like, a deep dive into the space station and the moon, and okay, let's just talk about it. Let's dive in, because we have to talk about this. Because, okay, go back to, like, February. I went to this concert. Oh, excuse me, Lola. I went to this concert, right? And my friend and I were driving to Huntsville. We went to Huntsville, Alabama for this concert. And I think we talked about it. If you go back to the episode with Will, we talk about space exploration, and we are laughing because I didn't know what the International Space Station was back in February. And when we were going through Huntsville's, like, known for its space. I think it has, like, some space center there. Maybe, I think the Kennedy Space Center is actually in Florida. But it's a space center in Huntsville, and they're known for their space stuff and the space museum and all this stuff. And we went by this, like, space rocket ship thing, and I said something about the International Space Station to Will, and I was like, have you ever been? And he like looked at me like I was insane, and he was like, no, have you? And I was like, no, but I want to. And it took him a second. He was like, do you even know where the International Space Station is? And I said, yeah, Florida. I really thought it was in Florida. No joke. Like the International Space Station in my brain was like in Florida, like this place in Florida where the rockets took off from. I'm pretty sure it's the Kennedy Space Center though, but I didn't realize the International Space Station was like off in space. But then we started that day. So this is back in February. We started doing a deep dive, and we find out that the International Space Station, well, not we, he knew. I found out the International Space Station was up in space, and we're like looking at all these people that are like on it. And I don't know why it didn't hit me then. But like fast forward to, I think it was last week, I was watching The Big Bang Theory. And if you watch The Big Bang Theory, then you'll understand. If you don't, you really should go watch it. It's such a good show. But I'm watching The Big Bang Theory, and Howard Wolowitz is like an engineer who works on parts for the International Space Station. So they're fixing a part for the International Space Station in this episode. And I'm watching it, and he says something like, oh, we need to fix it before the Russians get there. And I'm like, why would the Russians be on the internet? Oh my God. Like my brain immediately clicks when I say, why would the Russians be on the international? I don't know why. I genuinely didn't think this International Space Station was international. I genuinely don't know. I swear I'm not dumb. I'm not a dumb person. Like, obviously, I got a college degree, but like, I just don't understand. Like, my brain was not wrapping its head around, like, international, which sent me on another deep dive because Will was like, bitch, when we looked up the people that were on it, I was like, I still didn't, like, it didn't register to me that, like, the Russians were, like, actual, like, I don't know. I don't really know what I was thinking. But so we're like talking about the International Space Station with Will again. I'm telling him what just happened when I was watching The Big Bang Theory, and that just sent him because how I didn't realize it was international, which sent me down another deep dive again about the International Space Station and like where it was made, because obviously it's not American. Like, obviously America did not build this and launch it into space like I guess I originally thought, only to find out that it's like all these different countries all over the world made like one singular part for this International Space Station, right? All these countries make this one singular part for the International Space Station, and then they all go up there together, and the International Space Station was assembled in space. And if you didn't know that, that's fine, because guess what? After I created all this controversy with all these people who were like, Kristen, don't admit that. Bro, I'm okay with admitting it. Come for me or don't. I don't really care, because this is reality. And then I took a poll. I took a freaking poll all throughout my work day the next day. Almost every guest that walked into the store that I was helping said, I asked them, do you know where the International Space Station is? And the number one answer was Florida. So it's not just me. So shout out to those people who thought it was in Florida, because you made me feel less dumb. A couple people's actually there were only genuinely a handful of people who knew that the International Space Station was in space, which made me feel better. Some said like weird places. I think somebody said, I don't know, Chicago. I loved that one. That was my favorite one. So, you know, sent me on a deep dive, which sent me on to the moon landing and whether or not the moon landing was real or fake. And if we like faked the first moon landing, or gosh, because TikTok has everything. Sends me on a deep dive down TikTok, and I'm watching all these videos. Now my algorithm is all sorts of fucked up. But sends me on this deep dive down the rabbit hole of like, okay, was the first moon landing faked? And have we been on the moon since? And this one TikTok was like talking about how they think we've been on the moon in general. We just didn't do it at the time we said we did. So basically, essentially, like that when we filmed it and we watched man land on the moon and plant the flag, that was faked. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So it sent me on another deep dive of why people think the moon landing is fake, which, you know me, I'm down. I am down for conspiracy theory. If you have learned nothing from this podcast, it should be at least that I'm always down for conspiracy theory. I don't believe in all conspiracy theories, but I love to debate them and talk about them because I find them so interesting. So like this one really interested me. So I'm like, well, why? And probably because I'm watching this video of the moon landing, because obviously I wasn't alive when we landed on the moon. And I'm just so enraptured by the fact that like this one person's like, okay, well, we didn't even, like, they're not even floating. And I was like, floating? And I realized these people, when they touch down on the moon in this video, they're walking just fine, right? And I'm like, well, I thought there's gravity. And I haven't done enough of a deep dive to have anyone explain to me realistically why they aren't like floating, because space doesn't have any gravity. So like, how are they just walking on the moon and not like floating up into the air? That was a good question someone posed. Then someone posed a question of like, in the video the flag is blowing, it's like blowing in what I guess would be the wind. But like, does the moon even is there wind in the universe? Like when you're out there in space in the galaxy, is there even wind up there if there's no gravity? So like, how would the flag blow in the wind, I suppose? Or like, if there's no gravity, wouldn't the flag just naturally like, I don't know. But they posed some good questions that I never got answers to or got a chance to debate with anyone. So like, debate me, hit me with the good stuff, right? Because you all are going to listen to this and be like, that bitch is crazy. And I am. That would probably be accurate. And yeah, that's really, I'm not even going to lie, that's really all I had for you this week. Because this is a solo episode, I'll catch y'all up. Hope you had a chance to listen to mine and Casey's episode from last week. It was pretty good. And coming up this season, we've got some different guests, some new guests. I've got an author coming on to discuss their first book that's coming out. And it's gonna be an exciting season. I'm pretty excited. And I genuinely I'm excited for this next Psychopath or Delicious that I'm going to do. I'm highly debating talking about all these books I read because you know me, I'm a romanticy reader. But my sister recently got me into hockey romances and I'm mad about it because now I'm sucked in. I am like sucked in hard to these hockey romances. Like I'm going to get off of here and go read that book because it's probably about time for me to be getting into bed anyway. But yeah. Thank you for coming along. As per usual, guys, hope you were entertained. Hope you've got some answers to my questions about the moon landing and the International Space Station. Let me know if you were one of the people that believed the International Space Station was also in Florida. And as always, my sweet ducklings, I love you and I am rooting for you.